Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of May 16th through the 23rd of 2021. And I just want to give a big grateful shout out to all of you for your prayers, your thoughts, and just let you know that the process continues, and yet we're abiding, we're leaning in with each other, and I cannot tell you how truly grateful I am for your love and support. Also, I just want to acknowledge that my dear assistant Joan has informed me that the previous video that I had recorded for this week didn't have sound to it. And Mercury's not even in shadow yet. So I'm going to talk about that in this video, but thank you, Joan, and thank you for your diligence in editing these videos. And so like, subscribe, share, comment, and here we go. Let's talk about it, because this week is actually a pretty big week. And this particular video, when it comes out, then Mercury will be in shadow. And then we also are leading up to a full moon eclipse Sagittarius. And I want to talk about that. Both of those actual events do not happen for another week, but it's good to feel confirmation, maybe hear a few things about how it's all building up to this place. And I want to just put some pins on the map for this week. And one of the big players, if you will, is going to be Venus. So this week is a Venus theme kind of week, but also Mercury. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the eclipse. Because eclipses, we can feel a month before, a month after. Very often it doesn't show up right at the day. And so if you're already starting to feel this release, if you will, of beliefs or dogma, or this feeling that you've been maybe constricted in being able to travel, we're getting back into travel, there's going to be some sort of relief that happens. If you think about it, this particular eclipse is a bookend from the one December 14th that we had. So these last 6 months, we're starting to open up again. And I would imagine that by the time June rolls around, that borders will start to reopen and people will be able, you already see that, you know, like mask mandates are starting to lift and 100% capacity, things like that. That's on a collective. On an individual level, we're probably already feeling some sort of hopefulness, optimism. That's very Sagittarius, that the future, Jupiter, the future of where we're going. Now Jupiter's in Pisces as well. So we've got all this beautiful Jupiter activation for these visions, to have faith, to have hope. And that's what this week could have us feeling. As I mentioned, Mercury is in shadow. It goes retrograde at the end of the month on the 29th. So the eclipse is on the 26th. Then Mercury is retrograde, starts its retrograde motion, if you will. It doesn't actually go backwards, but that's what we feel. It causes our thoughts and our ideas and the way we communicate to be a lot more internal. It also can get very foggy or misinterpreted. And Mercury will be in Gemini still. So another reason I want to put this pin on the map is this week, we've got Mercury now in the 16, 17, 18 degrees, and it's going to be revisiting these degrees in June. So keep that in mind. It will go direct June 22nd, and then we'll have some more forward motion. So the first 3 weeks of June in particular, prepare yourself now. That's why I'm kind of giving you this pin on the map. Prepare yourself now for some delays in travel, some miscommunications when it comes to emails or text messages or anything like that. Also, start lining up. If you're having to sign contracts, line up your warranties, line up your third party to kind of look at it and give you some other ideas. I would say it's not a great time to make major decisions the first 3 weeks of June. If you've already set it up, had things put in place, no problem. If you're starting something new, I would advise to just take your time. And I like to use that wonderful phrase of, that's interesting, let me get back to you. I need a little time to sit with this, as one of your mantras during a Mercury retrograde. So let's get to this week though. So those are a few little pins on the map. And what this week can also remind us of is that when we are releasing, so we have this full moon eclipse next week, when we're releasing a belief system, we're releasing dogma, we're releasing anything really, what happens? Faith gets created. And so what we're being invited into is to really start noticing, are we trying to fill that space with something else, trying to distract ourselves? Maybe we're uncomfortable in that emptiness. And so the invitation this week is to allow yourself to play with a little bit of emptiness, but also knowing when there's time to take action. And the reason that I say that is on a personal level, I see many of you watching this video, you're going to have somebody from the past to come back to you, or past conversations start to come back into your awareness to talk about, to mix it up with this person, to get an understanding. I feel strongly that that theme will be carried into the next few weeks with the eclipse and with the retrograde. The other thing I would offer is that, as I mentioned, we've got a Venus themed week. And the reason I say that is Venus is going to be canoodling with the North Node in Gemini, and that happens on Monday. That's also while Mercury has now entered its shadow. We're also going to have Venus sextiling Chiron in Aries on Tuesday. Then Venus is going to trine Saturn. Then the sun moves into Gemini, and we have a weekend that is ruled by the moon in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. So again, Venus, what are the themes of Venus? Relationship. We already know that. But it's more about how we express our love. It's how we find pleasure. We find pleasure in interacting with others. We find pleasure in interacting with nature. It also rules, Venus also has to do with finances. Why? Because it shows what we value. You want to know what somebody values? Look at where they spend their time, their energy, their resources, like money. So now that we have a couple of those pins on the map, this is also why I'm pointing to relationship conversations, and it may be resource conversations, are going to be really strong this week in particular. And you're going to be looking at what value am I either adding to this relationship, or am I getting from this relationship? Because Venus is an attractor, but it also is a giver. So there's this give and take that happens with Venus. And so Monday, when Venus is canoodling this North Node in Gemini, there could be, I'll air quote, fated, but it's almost like opportunity and luck come together for a conversation around some form of resource or some relationship. And that when this path opens, it's almost like you're standing at a crossroads and you're being given an opportunity to make a conscious choice. So when it shows up, how do you want to walk down that path? Which path do you choose? And that's what we're going to be activated. So I would venture to say, watch the conversations that you have, even if it's a random stranger walking up to you saying, hey, you dropped this, here you go. And suddenly your eyes locked and you're just like, oh my gosh, I would love to take you to dinner, right? I mean, it could be something like that. Or it could be you're at your work and your boss comes to you and says, hey, I'm leaving. That's an eclipse energy, because when eclipses happen, usually it's a full moon, so there's a releasing. So let's just use the example. Let's say your boss says, hey, I'm leaving. Would you like to have this promotion? I want to put you up for it. There's a decision to make, right? Do I want the added responsibilities? I don't know what's required, right? So you do a little investigating, a little digging. Things take time. Mentioning time because Venus is going to trine Saturn on Wednesday. And when that happens, we're going to be, it's a beautiful harmonious aspect in astrology of trine. It means it comes naturally, it just free flows. So Venus and Saturn talking to each other, Venus is going to soften that logical, cold, kind of calculating, the disciplinarian side of Saturn, where then Saturn then becomes the Chronos in the golden age, that becomes very generous in allowing to build all these beautiful structures that can benefit and achieve the goals, the dreams, the wishes. You know, I think about, you know, the archetype of the golden age and Chronos and how everything was built and as a place of success, a place of beauty and harmony. That's why it was called the Golden Age. Everything just seemed to work. So here we have a moment where we get a taste of what is life in a golden age for us, meaning Venus, whether we're talking relationship, values, finances, we have the opportunity to build something over time and to be able to have these conversations. So going back to the example, whether we're talking about a love interest or we're talking about a business interest, let's say Monday, Tuesday, you've had that conversation or that meeting. Now it's going to take time to get to know the person, or take time to decide if you want to take that position. And if you do, to learn the role, right? And here's this beautiful trine with Venus and Saturn. Saturn, being an authoritarian, can look at, say, you in the Venusian way and say, you're my person. I want to invest in you. I want to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful. Then we've also got Sun moving into Gemini on Thursday. And when this happens, it will activate more of our playful side, the youthful side, our mental capabilities. I have a feeling that the social calendar is going to be extreme because Venus loves to socialize too. Then we've got the Sun active in Gemini because Venus is in Gemini as well. And so, and Mercury, right? So we've got all this Gemini connection. I have a feeling that emails and phone calls and conversations are going to be blown up. And now that people are starting to gather again, there's going to be a lot more like planning for cookouts for Memorial Day here in the US, or, you know, short trips that you might want to take with your friends, or there could also be this wonderful ability to be able to lead, because we're working with the Sun. You can lead with your ideas. And these ideas are more like planting little seeds along the way, going, hey, have you thought about that? And letting somebody else kind of run with it. But the Gemini energy is really about flitting and floating. I often think of the butterfly or the dragonfly that just kind of flits and floats from one flower to the other, or on the surface of the water. And so it's got this buoyancy to it. So all that to say, this week, the energy overall should feel lighter. It should feel hopeful, optimistic, and it should give us some taste of where we can see us going in the future. And in doing so, when the eclipse energy is activated, it means that we may let go of a belief, we may let go of a literal thing. That often can happen because our beliefs change. Beliefs drive behaviors. We may look at our partner and say, I can't do this anymore. It doesn't line up with what I need in relationship. Or it may be, you know what, we've been fighting like cats and dogs. I'm done with that. Now let's find common ground, right? It could go either way. It can also be that we're giving up this idea that we can't live our lives the way we want to because we have to play by somebody else's rules. Okay, while that may be true, at the same time, we start to get a little bit more compliant with applying the rules and really seeing what's the value. I'll share this from a personal level. One of my core values is freedom. Anybody who knows me, I am definitely somebody who enjoys flitting and floating and doing my own thing, and, you know, and connecting and traveling and that sort of thing. And so if I feel restricted by not being able to travel, this last year has been hard for those of us who have that, I'll call it nomadic spirit like I have to sit inside of a space and be on a Zoom call for hours on end or whatever. I love the in-person thing. It energizes me. And to be able to get on a plane and travel somewhere and do things, you know, that feeds my soul. I love learning. And so going to different places and being in different cultures, that's very Sagittarian, very Gemini Sagittarian. So it's been a challenge for me to have to sit tight and do some of the mundane and not be able to get out the way I really want to. All that to say, I believe that what we'll start to experience is that certain rules and ways in which we can interact with each other can benefit us to be able to get back into some of those things that we really value. So using this week, hopefully you're staying with me and where I'm going on my diatribe here. Using the energy this week allows us to look at our values, look at how we want to build our lives over time now, based on the new rules and the new ways in which we interact with ourselves, with each other. And Again, I go back to this whole thing of what reality are we trying to create? We have choices this week. I really believe that those of us who are trying to be more conscious in the way we make our choices, this week will give us an opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to do it. Another little pin on the map that I didn't address yet. On Tuesday, Venus will sextile Chiron in Aries. This gives us a chance to do some healing. It gives us opportunity. Sextiles are all about opportunity. And so it gives us an opportunity to use our resources, to take our values and to heal, and to have moments where we are interacting with someone or we receive some sort of abundance, resource, whatever, and it allows us to make a choice of, I can use this to help heal a relationship. I can use this to help soothe my soul. I can use this as a way to help others and maybe teach. And because remember, the thing with Chiron is we teach what we most need to learn. So we have our wounds and we have our learnings so that we can then share them with others. And there's always this reciprocal energy that we're looking for. And so when, speaking of reciprocal, as we conclude this week, like I mentioned, we've got the moon in Libra. And so it is going to be trining Saturn. It will be trining the sun, the moon, Mercury, or not the moon, sorry, Mercury and Venus in the North Node. And so the moon is how we feel. It's how we mother ourselves. It's our basic needs. The moon also will give us a good indication of some of the things from the past. So on a personal level, it deals with our subconscious and our things, the behaviors that we do unconsciously. And also it deals with our past. So this is another indicator that if during the week, you don't necessarily have a past conversation or a past lover coming back, or you and your partner aren't dealing with a past issue, it could be this weekend that it gets active, especially with all the Gemini energy, the conversations and connections that happen, the information that shows up. And with this beautiful trine, you should feel as though you have the capability of creating a win-win situation. Libra loves win-win. Let's be fair. It also can activate where you and this other person or group are talking about something and you see the other side of it. So it could be contrary, but remember, this is harmony through conflict. Libra loves harmony. How do you get there? You have a little conflict. So this is also a beautiful week and weekend when it comes to leading up to building more trust. Without trust and vulnerability, we can't have healthy conflict, because we'll take it personally. We'll default to, they have something against me, you know, they have ulterior motives, that sort of thing. So this week will give us opportunities to build more trust, more hope, more faith, so that when the weekend shows up and leading into the following weeks, as we're building over time, we'll be able to have some good conflict that helps us resolve an issue and help lead us go to that next level. All right, you guys, I hope that this video helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Find me at jamiedawn.com, and I hope that you have such a good week. I'm excited to see what these next few weeks are going to hold for all of us. Report in. I want to know how it's going. Take care, everybody.